Guys, did you know Ain't No Love in Oklahoma? That is literally the only line I've heard of that song, or it's the only line I've processed of that song, and I'm having so much fun just taking the piss out of it. Ever since the news came out about Twisters, I had been anxiously awaiting its release, but not because I was excited. I love Twister. It's one of the first movies to ever scare me, to give me like that taste of fear, but in a fun way, and it was exciting. I have so much love for that movie, and I feel the need to preface this video with that, just so everyone is clear that there is no way that this movie ever could have been as good to me as the original. And this is gonna be a little bit ranty, so if you enjoyed the movie, I'm happy for you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you don't want to hear somebody rip into it a little bit, maybe don't watch this video. And I want to start everything off by saying that this movie wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. Granted, my expectations were in hell, so you know, pretty much had nowhere to go but up. It had some good things going for it, and if I had no knowledge of the original film, I think this would have been pretty good in my book. I liked that the movie was a little bit more balanced in like a character-driven kind of way. The focus was more on Kate and her trauma and her dealing with that trauma and finding her love for storm chasing again. I thought that was nice, and it set the story apart from Twister. Unfortunately, that was kind of the only plot through line I really liked. They threw way too many other like subplot side story things at the wall. There was a whole climate change angle that I felt like the filmmakers were like way too scared to really make a statement about it. Like, lay into it, it's a thing that's happening. And kind of along with that angle, there's the kind of subplot of Javi is getting his funding from this guy, this Riggs guy, who is basically just like swooping in and buying up land after families' homes have been decimated by a tornado, which makes for an interesting villain, but he's not the main villain, and that doesn't go anywhere really. And the stuff with the crew doesn't really go anywhere either. The whole reason that Kate goes back to Oklahoma is to storm chase for a week with Javi and his team, and they're going and trying to set up these sensors on multiple sides of active tornadoes to try and get better readings on them. Again, all for the purpose of creating a better warning system. But that falls off as well, which I thought was interesting, because you're going into the movie thinking that's going to be the main plot point. You're seeing all this devastation. You see multiple times where the crews are like helping people who have just had their homes ripped down and giving them food and water and clothes and things like that. And then they kind of just give up on that halfway through, and we never see if Javi's team ever gets any good readings on the tornadoes, and it becomes more about Kate kind of rectifying what she was doing at the beginning of the movie with trying to disarm a tornado. But then if you put that into like reality, that's not really like a practical thing I think that you could do to truly like save people from disaster. Like, a better warning system is what would save people. And it was very strange. I feel like they had a lot of good ideas, and instead of just picking one and seeing where that took them, they decided to try and put all of them in there. And while I'm on the subject, let's talk about Kate specifically for a second. I swear that scene where she shows up at like the gas station or the truck stop or whatever it is, Tyler Owens sees her from across the way and is like immediately smitten. Eyes rolled into the back of my head. The way everybody treats Kate in this movie was mildly infuriating at best. It's giving like, oh my god, this white, blonde, conventionally attractive and thin woman has shown up. She's so cool and not like other storm chasers. Like, it was just so not necessary to have multiple scenes where characters are discussing Kate's affinity for being able to read weather patterns and take a look at what's going on around her and determining how the weather's gonna play out. They treat it almost like a superpower, like some sort of clairvoyance. Like, it was giving manic pixie storm chaser. And then, like I said, Tyler just being instantly smitten by her because she's the only woman that doesn't fall for his smolder or whatever. Like, like, we've seen this a million times. It's incredibly infuriating to me how these men can make these movies about women being scientists, and the women can't just be a scientist, they also have to be the object of everybody's affection. And I think if we're comparing the two, Twister had the clear advantage when it comes to having a more interesting story for the characters, since Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt's characters already had a history where Kate and Tyler and Twisters do not. But my biggest gripe, the thing I'm most mad about in this movie, was the score. There was a moment or two where I thought maybe the score might pull through, but overall I felt it was uninspired and just like your basic disaster movie score. And I know somebody probably worked hard on that, and for that I'm a little bit sorry, but come on, the score for Twister is incredible. The sweeping, galloping music while the camera has like this long shot and you see the cars like racing across the plains, and you feel like you're in the car with them. You feel like you're flying down the road with the crew. And then you see the tornado and the chorus comes in, and it just evokes this feeling of awe and terror. Like, it manages to convey Mother Nature's magnificence and its wrath, and it's beautiful. And the music in Twisters was just such a fucking letdown. I would have overlooked some of this movie's sins had the music been better. I also didn't quite get the super pointed like USA nods. Maybe that was just me reading into things a little bit much, but the whole like rodeo sequence with it opening with like this girl in like this Star-Spangled getup, riding a horse and waving a giant ass US flag, all the country, the music, and there was like a pointed moment where Kate puts on like this cover shirt and it's got a big old US flag on the back, and I only say it's pointed because of the angle of the camera, and it seemed very clear that they were trying to show you the American flag on the back, almost like they were trying to say like, this is like the real true red, white, and blue. I don't know, it was one of those where it's like I can't really define it, but I know it when I see it, and that's the feeling it was giving me. Anyways, on its own, if I separate it in my brain from Twister, Twisters is a regular action disaster movie. It was okay. It was not as terrible as I was expecting it to be, but as a remake or a reboot or whatever, it was utterly devoid of soul. It was lacking anything special that Twister has, and 1000% I am speaking from nostalgia here, if it wasn't clear already. Obviously, I have a very idealized view of the movie Twister, but I would love to hear what y'all thought in the comments. There's more new horror movies releasing damn near every weekend, so stay tuned for more reviews. And remember, if you feel it, chase it! No, not that. Remember, ain't no love in Oklahoma.